Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining today. We wanted to seek the blessings of Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Damodar, Radha Madhav, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Gaunitai Shila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees, so that we can understand this nature of these amazing devotees that the Lord sends to this world to help us understand Him better and to help us do some bhakti, to help us follow in their footsteps. And one such devotee was Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Now, he appeared many centuries ago, and his appearance day was yesterday. So we like to remember these personalities, what they've done and why they're so important, in order to seek their blessings. The blessings of these devotees are very important. Even though they may have gone back to the spiritual world, they are very much a part of our lives, actually, especially if we remember them, because by remembering them, we get their best wishes, we get their blessings. Okay. So, Satya and Harit, you might hear a few things today which you think, hey, what's that got to do with anything? Just bear with us. Every day we run these seminars, and at the moment, it's the month of Kartik, Damodar month, very important month. And in this month, the more devotional service we do, more bhakti we do, we really get a lot of benefits, like sale of the century. For if you even do 1 minute bhakti or devotional service to the Lord, it's like 1,000 minutes that you've done. So it's a tremendous month. And today, this month is very good because we celebrate one pastime of the Lord where he steals butter from his own mother and she punishes him. Now, God can't steal because everything is anyway. And nobody can punish God either, unless he wants to be punished. And in those situations, it would be an extraordinary event where he allows himself to be punished. So this pastime is very unique. But today, we're not going to go through that pastime. Today, we're going to look at the appearance day, the life and times of Narottama Das Thakur, who was appeared yesterday, about a few hundred years ago. Once when Gauranga decided to go, and Gauranga is none different from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from Puri to Vrindavan, he stopped in a village of Ramakeli to see Rupa and Sanatan. And Rupa and Sanatan are very important devotees of the Lord. They're two of the 6 Goswamis. And maybe later on in your life, you'll come across who these 6 Goswamis are and why they're so important. At that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to shout in ecstasy, "Oh Narottam, oh Narottam." From this, the intimate devotees, especially Nityananda, knew that a great personality would soon take birth as Narottam. And Narottam means, Nar means man, Uttam means topmost. The topmost person will take birth. However, on this occasion, his ecstasy was far deeper. Nityananda asked him the reason. "Why are you so happy, Gauranga?" Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that across the Padma is a river, in Kheturi, and Kheturi is in Bangladesh, Narottam will be born. He will be the recipient of my intense love, Gauranga's intense love, which was going to be deposited in the Padma, in the river. And this great soul will soon appear in the lifetime of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So this, what is this all about? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he filled this river with his intense love. And that intense love went to Narottama Das Thakur. And that's why he's regarded as a very great devotee of the Lord. The next morning, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to bathe and deposited his love in the Padma, which overflowed. At that time, the personified Padma. So every river is a person. Ganga is a person as well as a river. So Padma is a river, but it's also a person. Understanding that she had to deliver the love to Narottam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the instructions to the personification of Padma, the river. Give this love, which I'm pouring into you, to Narottam. She asked, how will she be able to know who this Narottam is? And Gauranga said, when somebody enters your water and causes you to overflow as I have made you feel greatly jubilant, he is the person. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives him the hint. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world in 1524 and Narottam was born in 1520. So he was only 4 years old when Gauranga left this world, went back to the spiritual world. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna himself. He's a hidden incarnation. He appeared in 1486, over 500 years ago. Fast forwarding to when Narottam became a teenager, Nityananda appeared to him in a dream, saying, tomorrow as the sun begins to rise, you should take your bath in the Padma river. That's the same river which was deposited this love. At that time, you will receive the totality of Gaura Prema, or love of God. So when he woke, Narottam immediately complied with Nityananda's instructions. Entering the Padma, he felt himself undergo a Vaichu transformation. Just then, Gauranga appeared before his eyes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. He'd gone back to the spiritual world, but he also came in front of Narottam, and he affectionately embraced him. As their bodies merged, he felt Gauranga's very essence engulf his soul. It is said that at that moment, Narottam's natural dark complexion turned to molten gold, the color of Gauranga. So you may know this, but Krishna was black, blackish, bluish black color. Where when Chaitanya came, who is none different from Krishna, he came in the color of gold, very beautiful golden color. And that's because he came as a combination of Radha and Krishna. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had this color of Radharani. This place is called Prematali Ghat on the Padma River in Bangladesh, and pilgrims visit this holy place. On the banks of the Padmavati River in the town of Keturi in the month of Magh, on the day of Shukla Panchami, 1520, Narottama Das Thakur took his birth. His father was King Krishnananda Datta, and his mother's name was Sri Narayani Devi. The king's older brother was Purushottam Datta, who had a son called Shantosh. The wealth and fame of these two brothers was beyond compare. Seeing many auspicious omens surrounding the birth of his son, King Krishnananda was very pleased and gave lavishly in charity to the Brahmins. The Brahmins, seeing all the auspicious signs surrounding the child's birth, prophesied that the boy was a highly perfected soul and great personality, by whose influence many people would be delivered. So he's a really amazing person. The king's son grew more effulgent and beautiful with each passing day. His body was just like molten gold. His eyes were large and shaped like lotus petals. His arms extended to his knees, and he had a deep navel. All these bodily symptoms of a Mahapurush, Mahapurush means a great personality. They are bodily symptoms of a Mahapurush. All the local townspeople used to gather to take darshan of the beautiful and saintly child. The king's wife, having given birth to such a wonderful son, was floating in the ocean of ecstasy. She always kept the boy close to her and was always concerned for his welfare, caring for him constantly. The boy was extremely peaceful. Whenever his mother put him, he would quietly stay put. Within the ladies' quarters, the ladies used to nurture and care for the child with great ecstasy. The boy's Annapashan Samskar, or grain-giving ceremony, was held. At that time, in order to ensure auspiciousness and a bright future for his son, Krishnananda gave much charity. So this is a very special ceremony. It takes place when the child is about 6 months old, and it's the first grains that the child eats. In that time, a yajna is performed, and the Lord is invited to enter into the stomach of the boy to help him digest his food. Very important ceremony, very important samskar. The astrologer present on the joyful occasion noted all the auspicious signs on the child's body, and predicted that the boy would be an illustrious person. This baby will be the greatest of men, therefore he should be called Narottama. So the festivities went on happily until Krishna tried to feed his son the rice. However, to everyone's dismay, the child refused to eat. He wouldn't eat that first grain. Although they coaxed him again and again, the boy repeatedly turned his head away, refusing to eat. The festive atmosphere was replaced with anxiety. Everyone looked at each other nervously, not knowing what to do. The thoughtful astrologer, however, reassured everyone, don't worry, this baby will not accept food unless it is first offered to Vishnu. So this is a really good example. In this wonderful personality, from his very birth, would only take food which had been offered to Krishna. So this is very important, actually. The rice was offered to Vishnu and then offered to the child. To everyone's relief, the child happily devoured it. From that day on, realizing the value of prasad, the king ordered, only food which has been offered to Krishna should be given to my son. Although the worship of Krishna was customary in their family, from the time of Narottama's birth, everyone became more attentive to the service of the Lord. So we can put this in our own lives, put it into practice. We should only eat what has been offered to the Lord as prasad. Otherwise, we're only eating sin, even if it's vegetarian food. It is, if we have not offered it to God, it means that it is not prasad. And prasad is spiritual. Prasad is without any karmic reaction. We have to remember that everything belongs to the Lord. And if we enjoy something separate from Him, then we'll always remain separate from Him. That's why when we cook in a mood of devotion. We don't taste the food while we're cooking. After we finish cooking, we put it in a special plate and we offer it. We take it onto the altar and we offer it to God. My dear Lord, please accept this offering which I have made with my love. And the Lord is very kind. Simply by looking at that offering, He will bless it. And we can then enjoy that prasad whenever we are hungry. So this is a very valuable lesson to learn in life. Everything that you have, what you eat, what you buy, offer it to God. Offer it to God. It belongs to Him anyway. You might as well offer it to Him. And when you offer it to Him, it becomes prasad. It becomes sanctified. It becomes spiritual. Very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. He was an adorable boy and endeared himself to everyone. Soon he was the talk of the town. Just one glance at Narottama is sufficient to cool my mind and chase away all miseries. From every angle of vision, the prince is beautiful. I have never seen such a gorgeous boy. So in this way, Krishnadas son was glorified throughout the town. Gradually, the day of his entrance into school, Hate Kari approached. Everyone astonished at his amazing intelligence. Simply by hearing a subject once from his gurus, he could commit it to memory. In only a short time, he mastered the study of grammar, poetry, rhetoric, and became expert in different scriptures. After the glorious incident in the Padma River, he saw as useless any knowledge which did not promote Hari Bhajan. Soon he lost interest in everything but Krishna consciousness. Even informing his parents, after they noticed a change in him, what had happened at the gut, requesting that if he can search for the Lord being concerned, called a spirit tamer to save the possessed boy. And that spirit tamer suggested very silly treatments. So what do we learn from this? We learn that actually it's very important to know about God. You're young, Harit and Satya. And the thing is, even whilst one is young, it's very important to try to understand who we are and who God is and what's our relationship with him. Very, very important to understand that. Because in this world, 99% of the people don't even know who they are. We're all thinking we're this body. But this body is just made up of earth, water, air, fire, and ether. That's all. That's all this body is made up of. The soul within the body gives it life. But the soul will only stay in this body for a short period of time. But we are thinking we will live in this body forever. And hence why there is no urgency to realize who we are, the soul, and how long this soul lives, what happens to the soul after it leaves this body. How are we connected with God? So this is fundamental questions. And very important from a young age to try to understand these basic fundamentals of spirituality. So day after day, Narottama began to think of how he could become free from family life and constantly engage himself in this Lord service. He was indifferent to all material enjoyment, where most children usually like to play. He was uninterested in playing games. At this time, hearing the glories of Nityananda and Chaitanya from the lotus lips of the devotees of the Lord, his heart was filled with spiritual joy. There was one aged Brahmin in Sri Keturi named Krishnadas Kaviraj. Now, Krishnadas Kaviraj is an amazing personality. He has written a very important book called Chaitanya Charitamrita, which we study very thoroughly. Very interesting book. Krishnadas Kaviraj was a genuine servant of Krishna and he loved Narottama deeply. He could not let a single day pass without seeing Narottama. Krishnadas Kaviraj was so powerful by dint of his devotion that no one dared disobey him. Every day after completing his worship of Krishna, Krishnadas Kaviraj would visit Narottama, and Narottama welcomed him with wholehearted enthusiasm, humbly falling prostrate at his feet. Offering him a seat, he would then eagerly inquire about Chaitanya and his associates. So this is also another important part of the life of Narottama. He took shelter of a guru. This wasn't his ultimate guru, but there's so many teachers who we come across on our journey. And this was one of the teachers that he came across, Krishnadas Kaviraj, who was an elderly person, but very, very devoted to God. So in our lives, it's very important to seek out these devotees of God, to seek out our guru, who will give us spiritual guidance of how to connect with God. That spiritual guidance is very, very important. And one of the most important conversations about connection with the spiritual reality is the Bhagavad-Gita. It is the discussion between Arjuna and Krishna, where Krishna explains to Arjuna how to live in this world. And it's a very powerful book. So at least once in your life, you should try to read the Bhagavad-Gita cover to cover. At least once. But that's the minimum. In fact, we should try to read the Bhagavad-Gita on a daily basis, because that book connects us with reality, spiritual reality, and connects us with the absolute supreme truth. And it also gives us a way how to live in this world without being affected by the madness in this world. So whilst one is young, it's very good to pick up the Bhagavad-Gita and read it. Very important. The younger you are, the better. Krishnadas Kaviraj happily narrated the pastime of the Lord in 3 parts: Adi, Madhya, and Antya. This is the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He went on to glorify the transcendental activities of Nityananda, Advaita, and other devotees with such emotion that even wood or stone would melt upon hearing his devotional narration. Narottama was lost in the ecstasy of love for the Lord. With his eyes full of tears, he joyfully worshipped his Lord privately. Oblivious to everything else, in this way he lost all taste for mundane pleasures and could not bear to even hear topics related to royal pleasures and property. So he was a son of a king. He had at his disposal wealth which we cannot even imagine, but he rejected all of that as useless in order to serve the Lord. So it just is a huge statement. No matter how much wealth we have, or children, or education, ultimately all of that will not help us to reconnect with God. Only one thing can help us, that is performing bhakti or devotion to the Lord. Aware of their son's growing apathy for material life, Krishnananda and Narayani were filled with anxiety and could think of nothing else. Finally, they decided to appoint someone to constantly watch over their son, but still they were unable to find peace of mind. Narottama's home became a prison for him. He longed to be free. Although he said nothing, he was constantly waiting for the opportunity to leave home. Every day he secretly pleaded desperately for the Lord's help, his body being covered with dust as he rolled on the ground crying. Raising his arms in the air, he begged pitifully, Gauranga, Nityananda, Advaita. My lords, please save me from this hell. One day, due to the desire of the Lord, Narottama fell asleep, and in his dream he saw Chaitanya. Chaitanya's splendid beauty could not be compared to gold, lightning, or anything else of this world. The beautiful curling hair hanging down his back could turn the minds of even the most virtuous women. His earrings shone brightly, and his lotus eyes were the trap of Cupid. His smiling face could easily defeat the effulgence of the moon, and the beautiful tilak on his forehead could capture one's breath. His graceful hands swept down to his knees, and how broad his chest was. Beautiful jeweled garlands hung around his conch-like neck, and his deep navel was finely shaped. His thin waist defeated even the lion. His knees looked like toppled banana trees, and his feet were more attractive than lotuses. How gorgeous was his 3-fold loincloth. So this is so important, so nice. When we get the description of the Lord and we try to visualize the Lord, not some crazy imagination. This is actually something that is real. It's real. So Narottam saw Gauranga, Nityananda, Chaitanya. Observing the beauty of Chaitanya, Narottam shed tears of love and fell on the ground. Placing his feet on Narottam's head, Chaitanya said sweetly, "Oh Narottam, look at me. I can't bear your tears. Don't worry. Go straight to Vrindavan. There you will be initiated by my dear devotee, Lokanath. He will happily pour the nectar of the Maha Mantra into your ears. I have many plans which are to be served by you." Another very important lesson here, because we have our plans, but the Lord has plans for us as well. And his plan is always going to be better. So we can place ourselves at his lotus feet and beg him, "My dear Lord, whatever you want me to do, please guide me. Please allow me to do what you want me to do. I want to serve you." This is so powerful. And if we want to perfect our lives, these sort of prayers really help us to do that. So, in his dream, Narottam saw Chaitanya on the bank of the Ganga in Navadvip. He was enjoying his pastimes along with Nityananda, Dvaita, Gadadhar, Shivas, Swarup and other associates as they engaged in Sankirtan, while the people of Navadvip witnessed their divine pastimes. Eager to inspect this beautiful scene, even Brahma, Shiva, and other demigods and goddesses mingled with the crowd in disguise. Even the animals and birds were charmed. Those who were born blind were suddenly able to see and rushed to observe the extraordinary Sankirtan performance. So even Brahma, who is the creator of this universe, but he's been given that power by Krishna. Even he wanted to witness what's going on. Seeing this wonderful fun, Narottam wept with joy. On seeing Narottam, Chaitanya embraced Narottam and put him in the care of Nityananda and Advaita, who encouraged Narottam to go to Vrindavan. Then Narottam woke up. He wept with joy as he began to see many auspicious signs indicating good fortune. In anticipation, he waited, hoping that the fortunate moment would soon arise. After this, in order to understand how to become free from family life, Narottama Das began to think day and night of how he could go to Vrindavan. Narottam prayed, "Hari Hari Kive Hava Vrindavan Vasi. Oh Hari, when will I become a resident of Vrindavan? When will I serve the beautiful divine couple in Vrindavan?" With tears in my eyes. So I talked about Vrindavan earlier. Vrindavan is that place where Krishna had his wonderful childhood pastimes, full of nectar. And devotees like to reside in Vrindavan because that means one is close to Krishna. Seeing Narottam's indifference to all sense pleasure. Frankie, is that the time? Okay. And his intense renunciation, Krishnananda and Narayani Devi became more vigilant to watch over him. Anyway, I'm going to cut through some of this because we've got a early program today, early satsang, which we have to attend. And before that satsang, we have got the children's class as well. So there's a few things going on. And I think Harit and maybe Satya will also be joining us in that children's class. So, Anyway, Narottam eventually was able to secretly go to Vrindavan. He reached there in the month of Kartik. This is the month of Kartik, very important month. And sorry, that's when he left his family, in the month of Kartik. And he had quite a challenging journey all the way to Vrindavan. And Vrindavan is thousands of miles away from, or at least hundreds of miles away from Bengal or Bangladesh. And anyway, eventually eventually he walked all the way there, and he met with Jiva Goswami, who's one of the 6 Goswamis, very important personality. And he served under Jiva Goswami. But he took his initiation, his guru was Lokanath Goswami, who was very old. And really, Narottama had to beg Lokanath Swami to accept him as his disciple. And he did after a very, very long time and a long, difficult test as well. 1 year he had to wait. But Narottama was very, very famous. In fact, he would serve so beautifully, and he would sing so beautifully as well. He was just one of the most amazing persons. I think maybe we'll try to carry on tomorrow, because otherwise it will be an injustice to not go through these pastimes in some detail. So I'm going to stop there, and hopefully devotees can join tomorrow. We'll carry on. Narottama Das Thakur ki jai. Oh, any questions? Harit, have you got any questions?
Yeah. How did he manage to go? Did he go by? I mean, like, did he go by barefoot all the way?
Yeah, pretty much barefoot. I mean, he may have worn shoes, but he walked. He walked. Okay, we'll go through that. I mean, if you join tomorrow, if you're able to, we'll walk. We'll go through that. We'll go through that. How his journey, his amazing journey. So, and yeah, he did walk. He ate very, very little. Every 3 days or so, he would eat some fruits and have some milk or something. He was just a very austere person, you know. He was an amazing person. He really showed how one can become very eager to meet the Lord, to go to the Vrindavan, the Lord's holy place. And this eagerness is very important. We are actually very eager to become rich or, you know, beautiful or strong, but all of that cannot help us because it's all related to the body. Whereas what Narottama Das's eagerness was, it was about his connection with God. And that is eternal. That will always help us. So bhakti, doing bhakti, trying to seek out the Lord is very powerful. We must try to, even from a young age, develop this mood of, I want to see you, my Lord. I want to serve you, my Lord. I want to do something for you, my Lord. Please allow me. I want to live in your world. This is very powerful prayers. Thank you, Harit. Very wonderful. Wonderful.
I have another question.
Yeah, go for it.
So did Narottama, did he like start off in the material world and then go into the spiritual world?
Right.
Or did he start in the spiritual world?
Right. Fantastic question. Actually, he's described to be one of the maidservants of Radha Krishna in the spiritual world. But he came to our world to set an example how one can become close to God. Really good question. So he's actually never trapped in this world like we are. He comes from the spiritual world, he comes here, he does these amazing things, and then he goes back to the spiritual world. So he's always eternally a liberated soul. But through his pastimes, we can sort of follow in his footsteps and try to, you know, become good devotees. Very good question, Harit. Very good. Thank you. Impressive. Okay. Narottama Das Thakur ki jai.